I'm Teresa Carraggio, and this is Third Paradigm. My topic today is quantum sex and dragon chakras. This is Thanksgiving while I'm waiting for my ride, and I will be certainly not finishing it during this session. But what better time to talk about sex than when everybody's with family surrounding them and grandparents in the next room? Wait a minute. We're the grandparents now. Forget that. After my last episode on the spiritual pickup artist, I have gotten so many interesting responses that I'm going to feature several of them here. You'll need to go to thirdparadigm.substack.com, which is in the description on YouTube, in order to see these links. The first one is well worth the trip alone, which is a pole dancing performance that made Gan cry. Gan was one of my first readers, and he says, here at the beginning, here until the end. I'm certain that he's someone who I found on Russell Brand's comment threads, along with Maria from Australia, Joey from Utah, and Lindsay from Ireland. The second was contributed by Infant Tyron, who, along with many great music and humor links, also did one to Buckminster Fuller on love as metaphysical gravity. I will need to watch that 4 or 5 more times to see whether I can explain it. Then we'll go from the metaphysical to the very physical with Richard's Substack, who writes as the Cormorant, and he has one on dragon chakras that may be shocking to you. It certainly was to me. Let's get started. In the first response, Gan wrote that Anete Blaua's winning pole performance in the UK 2022 competition had made him cry. Now, I think that pole is the most unforgiving of all of the mediums. It requires stamina, strength, balance, flexibility, and a thick skin to withstand friction. So I give everyone who's able to do that props. But in this case, this is a dramatic interpretation, and what Anete brought to this in terms of the emotion and the pathos and the storytelling is unprecedented in my experience. So this is linked in my Substack, and that is in the description of the YouTube. I think you should all watch this and see if you cannot cry. Infant Tyron 3 sent me many links with music and humor and Buckminster Fuller on Love is Metaphysical Gravity. So first I looked at another one he sent on Bucky Fuller on love. He says, the most mysterious of all the synergies I know is the phenomenon of love. Radiation, light, casts shadows, but gravity does not. If it's real love, it is omniscient, embracing. It makes no exception for anything. It doesn't cast shadows. And here he makes this motion for what the sense of love is. Gravity closes back in on itself to make unity. Radiation disintegrates and goes further and further apart. So this is what he calls the jitterbug transformation, or the infinity loop of radiation expansion and gravity contraction, or the folding in of love. Light goes out, gravity pulls in. Energy, according to Bucky, slows the rate that time flows. Entropy is disorganization, but love focuses it. The 10-minute video, Love is Metaphysical Gravity, is a commentary on Bucky Fuller's theories. It starts by talking about geodesic domes and how the tetrahedron, which is the midpoint of 4 spheres that are connected, forms the most stable structure in nature. It's a pyramid with 3 sides, so a triangle at its base, and no matter how you flip it, the shape is the same. So I think this could be a model for social structures of interchangeable hierarchy. In a short video on the jitterbug transformation, Jane Mathemagix does a fun toy demonstration on a jointed cube octahedron, and he says, if I press on opposing triangles, the whole compresses into an octahedron. So here's an Archimedean shape that's become one of the 5 Platonic solids. When we compress again, we get the pyramid we're familiar with, the 4-sided. And when we compress again, we get the omnistable tetrahedron, the building block of all the universe. When released back into the cube octahedron, if built correctly, it will oscillate left-right when opposing triangles are compressed. This is known as the jitterbug effect and is one of the keys to alchemy. After I watched this, I got dressed for dance and picked a random shirt that I only later noticed had a rabbit with a geodesic dome. So check this out. So here, I haven't noticed before that petal-like pattern is really interlocking spheres, and that this sun could be a flattened icosahedron, and that I'm sure that there are other things in this rabbit that has different designs in it that I would understand to be geometric alchemy if I knew more about it. Bucky describes photons cascading from the sun and how 2 lines can't go through the same point at the same time, which is why we have reflection and refraction. He also says that if we could see the entire electromagnetic spectrum, we'd see everything always shimmering and vibrating in this jitterbug dance. To do a poetic interpretation of this, it's like consciousness is the prism that light goes through. Love throws no shade on anyone. Love embraces all. Love holds lightly, like gravity, giving boundaries and groundedness, but not controlling. Consciousness is an eternal point of now that is being recycled by the churn of time moving through space and being refracted into 7 billion points of view, different shades of different colors. Love slows down time and collapses empty entropy into meaning. Meaning is all there is. Now that I have set the mood and made you work for it by learning about Buckminster Fuller, let's talk about sex. When I told my dance teacher that this episode was going to include male anal manipulation, she said, "You're really branching out." And now that I've gotten that shock value out of the way, let's go deeper, so to speak. The Substack version starts with a very funny meme by Ratio Broadborneus, but this is in response to Richard, who writes as the Cormorant. In response to my last episode, he wrote, "This essay explores the male capacity for ecstasy and inner-outer communion. Women may choose to play a pivotal role in men's awakening by initiating a type of bliss many, if not most, men have never experienced." And he linked his essay, Apocalyptic Ecstasy, the Dragon's Treasure. After reading his article, I wrote back, "Whoa, this is your first post, Richard? Quite the sexual incendiary device. It certainly flips the paradigm of women embodying both the divine feminine and masculine. Very well written and powerful." He answered, "Women are in a very powerful position here to create so much trust in men that he becomes willing to confront his gay terror," and that's all in caps. "If women deeply get how wounded we collectively are, they just may choose to show resplendent mercy on us. Through deep vulnerability, we may experience profound intimacy, which becomes available following an extended encounter with cosmic orgasms. Everyone wins. It just takes a lot of love and courage. I thought if anything could get men to embrace their divine feminine, something they're really not into, it would be cosmic orgasms. So this article goes from the etymology of apocalypse to the mythology of the knight and the dragon, for which you can use your imagination. It starts with talking about employing plant medicine in a full spectrum, saying that the sum is more than its parts, and that it also looks at less being more, that you're going for a religious spiritual journey, not for hallucinations. He shows a chart of masculine-feminine balance, saying that the masculine is strength without caring, and the feminine is caring without strength. The objective is both. He writes, "The hero, consciousness, provides the intention by which he hits the proverbial bullseye, surrendering to annihilation into another dimension through a vortex, a portal." In a crazy synchronicity I didn't notice until I wrote this piece, he follows with a picture of an octahedron, and he writes, "This happens within the metaphorical framework of the octahedron, two pyramids base to base, divine masculine and divine feminine going online between the two capstones, letting go of the baggage, letting go of the need to be right or make the most sense, only to be one love in the divine cosmic dance between Shakti and Shiva. So this is my thesis," he writes. "We are perfectly equipped to energetically and ecstatically supercharge our physical and spiritual bodies and do collective alchemy." So like Bucky Fuller, he's even talking about alchemy. Richard goes from the metaphorical, allegorical to an instruction manual, complete with diagrams and sexual accoutrements, otherwise known as tools. He summarizes, "The first divine union is between our own sacred masculine and sacred feminine. We are not looking for a partner to complete us, and this is something done in solitude. We are already complete, yet a mystery occurs. It is together that we set off metapulses into the planetary aura, which I refer to as the global dandelion. It is in the collectively generated frequency of this global aura that we choose to transmute the old story of separation into the new story of inner being. In technical terms, this is a non-ejaculatory orgasm affected by stimulation of the prostate gland, sometimes along with the lingam, located a couple of inches inside the anus. And I've been binge watching the Netflix show Sex Education so that I could use terms like that without flinching." Richard ends with, "This kind of orgasm may be experienced many times, potentially for hours, each time healing us more completely, like a massive set of waves crashing on shore, allowing light into all of our chakras, energy centers, wheels. This is an initiation into new perception, reality programming, birthing the age of Aquarius through Uranus." I recommend giving Richard's article your full attention, and I'll follow up another time on the social and theological aspects. In the meantime, on Substack, I'll include a couple of bonus episodes, one where I am backed by a giant dandelion rather than my dandelion of light right here, and another called From Inner Dependence to Inner Being, in which I'm wearing cheetah spots. But now I recommend that you see The Lust Frontier, Disposable Dating and the Great Isolation, and also Meaning is All There Is, where I talk about my craziest theology theory involving the word tantric. Thank you for watching.